What's going on, you guys? What's going on? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Zone Coverage Podcast with your boy Zoe Phillips, man. Got a great show for you guys today. As you guys can see, you got a whole new layout here, so you'll be able to see what we're going to actually have with regards to the topics on the right side of the screen. And actually, I'm getting to some good news, man. We have some a lot of changes going on in the HBCU sports landscape, and we'll go ahead and get into a lot of these things for you guys today. So as you can see, the first thing we want to get into, man, is Valley, man. Mississippi Valley State actually went and took the plunge and made a hire of a new coach. Valley actually went in and hired Terrell Buckley, Mississippi native, former Florida State star, NFL star for the Green Bay Packers and Miami Dolphins. And all in all, man, I think it was a really, 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 really good pickup for him. Mississippi native, great career, and it kind of goes in line with what we've been talking about with regards to the former NFL players. But unlike the counterparts in the SIAC, he's been coaching for quite a bit of while. He's from the coast. He actually started at Florida State following up behind Deion Sanders. As soon as Deion Sanders actually left Florida State, Terrell Buckley as a player took over for him and actually had a better career at Florida State than Deion Sanders did. Was Jim Thorpe winner, college football All-American. I think it was the fourth or fifth pick in the draft. Had a great career on the verge. I think arguably could be an NFL Hall of Famer. So good hire for them, though, man. Like I said, Mississippian and got a pretty good resume so far. Coached at Ole Miss, coached at Mississippi State, coached at Louisville, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Was a GA at Florida State. Always coached cornerbacks, and formerly now here recently, I should say, was the head coach for the Orlando, I think, Renegades. In the XFL, who he actually happened to coach a few former HBCU players. I know he actually coached what's my guy from New Orleans? Number 3 escapes my head. It'll come back to me later on. But didn't have that great of a record in the XFL. But it was the inaugural season of that league. So I'm really interested to see, like, all first-time head coaches, who he's going to hire, what is his staff going to look like, what type of offense is he going to run, what type of defense is he going to run, and just to kind of get an idea of what exactly that's going to look like. But all in all, I think it's a damn good hire for Valley because, when they let their head coach go, just to even really, truly get an idea of what that's going to look like, for them, I think it's more of an upgrade from the coach that they previously had with Coach Wade. So all in all, I'm really, really excited for Valley, man. Kudos to them. They made a splash, and I mean, did we really think that they would? So I hope that he can have some semblance of success because, again, we need to get the SWAC trending upward to having more success in the HBCU landscape with some other teams, and we need a team like Valley to come in and have some success because, again, we need some non-conference wins, but just to raise the profile of the conference. When you're talking about possibly having 6-7 teams over 500, that's what we need. And I just think he actually brings some more credibility to the conference. You're talking about, like I said, a former All-Pro DB who's actually, had some success and honestly comes in as the most high-profile coach in the league. I mean, he had a better playing career than Sam Shade as well. So, and both happen to be DB. So I think that would kind of bode well for them. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, on to the next thing here, man. We actually see that we got Southern in here. Southern University just released their home slate, and man, good home schedule too. When you talk about Southern, man, I'm actually kind of jealous, man. Listen, if I'm a Southern Jag, man, there is no way on God's green earth you guys don't sell out of season tickets this year. I mean, they got 5 home games on the books, man, and just listen to the opponents: Alabama State, Jackson State, Prairie View, FAMU, and Texas Southern. Man, to have FAMU, Jackson State, and Alabama State, I'm assuming probably PV is going to be for homecoming. So outside of homecoming, you got Alabama State, Jackson State, FAMU, and Texas Southern. Man, it's a damn good home schedule. Look, they got Alabama State on scheduled on September 6th. They have Jackson State scheduled on September 27th. Prairie View scheduled on October the 18th. FAMU on October 25th. And then they got Texas Southern to finish up the season on November 15th, right before the Bayou Classic, which they'll have a bye after that game because they typically have a bye before the Bayou Classic. But, man, talk about 5 good games. I haven't looked at their entire schedule. The only thing I'm interested in is but I'm willing to bet the Jack State game is going to end up probably being another non-conference game again this season. But, man, talk about a darn good schedule. Man, we talk about attendance, and since we actually talking about attendance, I kind of want to harp on this too. The SWAC has led out of all the FCS conferences in attendance since the inception of Division I AA, which is what the FCS was formerly named. But I have to say this. Yes, we've led it, but I think at this juncture, now's the time I think we really should be able to blow it out the water. When you look at Southern having a home slate like this, Southern, even with a little bit of semblance of success, mind you, they're going to Terrence Gray's second season, and they made it to the SWAC championship game in year 1. So you should have a slight little buzz and, anticipation for year 2. With a home slate like this, there's no excuse for those guys not to average 20,000 fans a game, in my estimation. I mean, look, the stadium, Mumford hosts 28,500. But I think even with capacity, I think that they can actually squeeze in 30, right? There's no excuse for Southern not to average over 20,000 fans this year. Like, none at all. So, when you look at a slate like this, you guys have what you need. Granted, I understand, a lot comes with, wins and losses, right? But when you talk about year 2 of a regime, and again, we'll get into recruiting. I saw that they got some commits on yesterday. Well, yesterday and the day prior, over the weekend, we should say. It picked up a former player from Valley at quarterback. And picked up another running back. They picked up some players. And again, we got sign day coming up here in another 2 weeks. And, man, if they're having any type of semblance of success similar to what they did last year, I know that they went 7-5. But, again, when you talk about possibly going, and they got a 12-game season this year, when you talk about going 8-4, or possibly 9-3, man, there's no way for you to be getting under 20,000, you know what I'm saying, with a home slate like this. So, man, kudos to them. I love it. I wish Jackson State had more of a home slate like this, but I would say this to all of our fans. But the point I want to make is, Southern, like I said, Mumford at capacity is 28.5. Southern should be doing 20,000 a game. Alabama State, with where they were prior to Eddie Robinson becoming the head coach, and they've had stability and success with him being his head coach, man, Alabama State, man, should be literally getting anywhere from 18.5 to 20,000 every single home game. And then I raised the bar even higher for Jackson State because, I always feel like Jackson State literally year in, year out should be averaging 40,000 fans a game. But, FAM, Southern, and Jackson State, those are your cornerstone. And Alabama State, when you talk about attendance. And so, FAM should be, hovering around 20,000 as well, being at Mumford. But, man, they got to do a whole lot better on that. For real. All right. Next up, man, we got the Players of the Week. And, look, when we get into the SWAC, they released their Players of the Week. And I'm actually getting to bowling first before I actually get into basketball. Bowling, we got Jada Gordon from Prairie View, and then we also got Jenna Knight. Say that fast. She's the newcomer of the week from Alabama State. But on the men's side, for players of the week within the SWAC, we got the player of the week is Sterling Young at FAMU. And then we got the impact player of the week, which was Trey Thomas from Bethune-Cookman. And the newcomer of the week was Dr. Bradley, man, who's been balling for UAPB. Man, I think he's probably in conference play, man, averaging over 30 points per game. Now, on the women's side, we have Talia Dilworth, who is co-player of the week from Jackson State. She's co-player of the week with, make sure I say this correctly, Ducine Prian from Grambling. Then we got Sabu Guy, who was the co-impact player of the week, and she shared that with Asane Nicholson from Bethune-Cookman. And then we got Alasia Fantroy, who was the newcomer of the week by way of Texas Southern. And then we move over to the MEAC. When we got the MEAC players of the week, we have Cameron Hobbs from Morgan State. And then we have the rookie of the week, which is Blake Harper, who's been balling for Howard. And then we have the defensive player of the week, which is Martez Robinson. All right. Excuse me. And excuse me. And then we'll move on here because I'm tripping. And then we got here. Next up, we got actually a few little baseball news here. So the SIAC, I'm tripping on the baseball. The SWAC, forgive me, you guys. The SWAC actually announced that the championship tournament will actually be at historical Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama, and the dates for the championship will actually be May 21st through May 25th. And if you guys aren't familiar with Rickwood Field, that's where the Birmingham Barons, it's their home field, and Major League Baseball just put a lot of money into renovating that stadium. And just this past season, I forgot what significant game it was, but I do know that I believe it was I want to say it was the Seattle Mariners or no. It was the San Francisco Giants, because it was on the day that the day before the day of Willie Mays passing. It was the San Francisco Giants, and they played somebody else. So it was the first major league game over at Rickwood Field, and so it's been renovated. I think it's a damn good move to have it in Birmingham. You know, Alabama and Mississippi is kind of centrally located within the SWAC footprint. So that we got that with those baseball news, as well as since we're on baseball, the preseason polls actually just got released on yesterday. The Black College Nines, who's been doing their thing, covering baseball on the HBCU front for quite a few years. They released their preseason top 10 poll, and coming in right now at number one was Grambling. You got Grambling coming in at number one. You got Bethune-Cookman coming in at number two. Jackson State coming in at number three. Texas Southern coming in at number four. Prairie View A&M coming in at 5. Florida A&M coming in at 6. Number 7 is Alabama State University. Number 8, you have North Carolina A&T. Number 9, you have Southern University. And number 10, you have Delaware State University. So out of the 10 teams ranked, you have 8 out of the SWAC and only 2 from the MEAC. That would be, well, no, actually 1 from the MEAC. You got A&T, who's in the Colonial Athletic, the Colonial Conference, the CAA. Wow. So it's only 1 school, the MEAC, in the preseason top 10 poll. And look, I want to give a shout out to, man. I can't believe I'm actually even saying this. So I want to shout out my little cousin, man, who's playing pitcher in his freshman season at Southern University, man. So all my Southernites, man, y'all keep a lookout for my little cousin, man. Stephen Tobert, man. DJ is what they call him. Stephen Tobert, it's my little cousin, man. Pitching at Southern, this is his freshman year, and he is a good one. I hate we couldn't get him at Jackson State, but he's over there with those Southern Jags pitching for those guys in this year for Southern University. And haven't really seen much on the baseball front. I know we're getting in kind of early with regards to the SIAC and or the CIAA. And I tell you what, on that front, man, HBCUs, we really got to get better on getting content and feeding the information out there. You know, it's a lot of us out there that, you know, actually like baseball and, you know, softball and all these other non-revenue sports. And we need that info out there to feed the masses, because I'm really going to do what I can to really push it out there. And really go into that. And move over here, man. Going through kind of early. Let me go ahead and next up, we over here got the got some SIAC news, and they actually announced today they're gonna have the HBCU Classic between Morehouse and Tuskegee. That's going to happen. Actually going to happen February 15th, 2025, and I believe that's going to be during All-Star Weekend. I believe it's going to be in Oakland Arena at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern. Presented by AT&T, and Morehouse just had a big upset. They just defeated Howard earlier this week. Yesterday, matter of fact. No, Monday on Martin Luther King Day. Had an upset with Howard, and Howard, which was one of the few HBCUs who were actually undefeated in conference play, and Morehouse actually beat them on a neutral site. So that was a pretty big deal. And also on the SIAC, we got those women games televised for the rest of this week. We have Clark Atlanta facing Albany State on January 25th. That'll be presented to you on the SIAC network at 2 p.m. On that same date, you'll have Allen facing Savannah State at 2 p.m. on the SIAC network. And also on the, let's see here, and we'll also have two games on the 27th. That'll be Allen versus Benedict. No, Edward Waters. I'm tripping. Allen versus Edward Waters at 5:30 p.m. on January 27th. And then we'll have Clark versus Fort Valley State on January 27th at 6 p.m. as well. We'll move over to the men's side. We'll have all these games will be on the SIAC network as well. On the 25th, they have 3 games scheduled. That will be Morehouse versus Fort Valley State. You have Allen versus Savannah State at 4 p.m. Eastern. The Morehouse and Fort Valley State game will be at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then you'll have Clark versus Albany State at 4 p.m. Eastern, presented to you by Georgia Power. Then on the 27th, we'll have 3 additional games. You'll have Morehouse versus Albany State at 7 p.m. Eastern. You'll have Allen versus Edward Waters at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then you'll have Clark Atlanta versus Fort Valley State at 8 p.m. Eastern. I actually want to kind of pull those standings up for a second so we can actually get a look. 1 second. Well, I got some time here. All right, right now you got Clark leading the East at 8-2 in the conference. They're 11-6 overall. Edward Waters and Albany State are tied at 8-3 in conference play. Edward Waters is 12-6, and Albany State is 11-7. Morehouse, wow, who just beat Howard. They're 6-3 in conference play, 9-8 overall. And then holding up the rear, you got Fort Valley State, Savannah State at 5-5 and 5-6 in conference play, respectively. And then you have Benedict at 3-8 in conference play, and Allen at 1-8. In the Western Division, you will have Miles at 10-1 in conference play, 13-3 overall. Tuskegee 6-4 conference record, 8-8 overall. Kentucky State 6-7, 9-9. And then you'll have Central State with a 5-7 conference record coming in at 8-10. Spring Hill 4-7 in the conference, 6-10 overall. Lane 3-8 in conference, 3-13 overall, and then coming in last, you have the Lemoyne Owen Wizards at 3-9 in conference play, 3-15 overall. So the SIAC, man, it's looking pretty good. Overall records, you got 14 with double-digit wins already thus far in the season. 13-3, 12-6, 11-6, and 11-7. Man, if we can get that type of record within the SWAC and the MEAC, man, we will really, 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 really be on something. Wow. Man, that's something there. And coming up next, you guys, we got the JSU Bash. As you guys know, National Recruiting Day is coming up here, like I told you guys, in 2 weeks. And Jackson State, and I'm going to get some more info on everybody else within the SWAC or the MEAC. But Jackson State's going to have their recruiting reveal fundraiser on Wednesday, February 5th at 6 p.m. at M-Bar, which is signing day. It'll be at M-Bar, and $50 per person. And they'll sit there and they'll announce all of the recruits that they've signed from the early signing period, as well as those that fall into the regular signing day, which will be the new, back to the new norm, which will have one signing day going forward. So they'll reveal everybody that's signed. It's a fundraiser right there as well, so it's $50 per person. And like I said, I'm going to reach out and try to see if I can get some more info for all the other schools in the SWAC and in the MEAC, as well as on the D2 level in the SIAC and CIAA. I'm very, very unfamiliar on how the D2s actually do it. If and all what they do in regards to announcing recruitments, or if they just pretty much release all the info online. But I know that Southern used to have an event announcing their recruits, and like I said, I'm not sure how many schools actually do it, but that'll be really, really dope. We really need to get all of the SWAC's media teams, abreast and out to doing things to actually getting that content out, because it matters. And got some work in the plan too for a potential recruiting show for you guys coming down here in the pipe. So this time next year, we can actually thoroughly break down and go through all the players on signing day, because we need an actual signing day platform to really break down all the recruits that actually sign to every school, for example, like within the SWAC and in the MEAC. So people cannot just have a name and stats, but really have some dialogue as to who signed with whom within the diaspora of the HBCUs. All right. So kind of moving a little early on this one, but man, let me tell y'all, I'm gonna really break this thing down. I've been meaning to talk about this to you, so I might end up changing my screen here in just a second. But I'm finna get into this template that we were talking about, man, with regards to this HBCU Super Conference. So I know I presented something to you guys last time, but let me change this screen right here because I'm gonna bring some things up for you guys. All right. So, as you guys know, I've been on this whole mission of having this HBCU merger for this HBCU Super Conference. And I know I talked about it last time that I was on air, but kind of wanted to put some things out there and show you guys something so you can actually see it, to bring something tangible with you guys with scheduling. So, managed to get this thing here pulled up for you, and I got some little template schedules to show you guys as well. And let me see here. All right, here we go. So, and I actually gave the conference a name too. It's hilarious. So I actually called it the SMAC. So typically I call it the SMAC conference. And the reason why I say SMAC, just for giggles, it's the SWAC MEAC Alliance Conference. SMAC. And what do we all love to do? We love to talk SMAC. So for right now, for example purposes, this is the potential SMAC conference, right? SWAC MEAC Alliance Conference. All right, so how we're going to have this thing broken down, you can actually see I got the North Pod, and so here's the layout, because I know people are going to talk about travel and nobody's going to travel this. Well, in this layout, the way I presented it, everything from the way that you know it, if you're in a MEAC, it's still going to have a MEAC feel to it. And if you're in a SWAC, it's going to have a SWAC feel to it. Pretty much going to be a lot of what you have right now, but I can make it a little bit better, right? So if you look at the North Pod, right, and I'm going to break all this down for you guys. So let's say you're in the North Pod. This is how this is broken down. It's a 20-team conference, and this is your pod. So the North Pod, you got Delaware State, Morgan State, Howard, Norfolk State, and Hampton. East Pod, you got North Carolina A&T, North Carolina Central, South Carolina State, Florida A&M, and Bethune-Cookman. In the South Pod, you got Tennessee State, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Jackson State, Alcorn State. Then you got the West Pod, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Grambling State, Southern, Texas Southern, Prairie View. Now, if you look at the pods, the conference pretty much is going straight from the East Coast to the northern tip and is working its way down from the north, the east, the south, and then the west. Did that way by design. And look at the schools in each pod, right? So you ask, okay, well, all these teams, how are you going to set the schedule up? How are you going to play? Well, if we're in the FBS conference, you're going to have a 9-game conference slate, and we're still going to have a championship game within this conference. All right? So you're going to have a 9-game conference slate, but also being that you're FBS, you'll have 12 games every year. Every year. So that gives you 9 conference games, plus you'll have 3 non-conference games, and then you'll have your conference championship, and then you go to your bowl game after the fact. So the way it works with regards to scheduling, so people won't be freaking out, is the way I got it is the North Pod will have a tie-in with the East Pod, and then the South Pod will have a tie-in with the West Pod. And what I mean by tie-in is you're locked in. So basically, if you're in the North Pod or the South Pod, you're going to have a permanent opponent, right? So that means every year, and I'm going to use an example. So let's just say, for example, if you're Delaware State, every year Delaware State will have a permanent opponent in the East Pod. So that means Delaware State every year they're going to play Morgan State, Howard, Norfolk State, and Hampton, and then they'll have 2 permanent opponents in A&T, and let's just say North Carolina Central. Those are 6 games they're going to play every year, no matter what. All right? So again, that's a MEAC feel to it. Now, the way the rest of the other pod works is you're going to have 1 rotating opponent in the rest of the conference. So you're going to have still 1 rotating opponent in the East if you're in the North, and then you're going to have 1 rotating opponent in the South and the West. So for an example, and I'm going to bring up a template that I use for you guys. So in this example I'm going to use right now, let's just say Delaware State. You're going to play Morgan State, Howard, Norfolk State, Hampton. And let's just say they'll play South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. That's their permanent opponents. But then in this example, this year, they'll play North Carolina A&T in a home and home. And then they'll play, let's just say, Tennessee State. And then they'll play Grambling. That's their conference slate. You'll have that same conference slate just for 2 years. And then, bam, after those 2 seasons, South Carolina State will roll off. And then Tennessee State and Grambling will roll off. And then it rotates that way. And so so look at those matchups. You're pretty much basically still going to have a full MEAC slate. And then you're playing, in essence, 2 SWAC schools every 2 years, and it rotates on and off. So I came up with this, thought it was a great idea, right, from a schedule standpoint. So because right now it's not changing nothing with regards to your traveling as it is right now. So I took the liberty. I was like, let me see here, and let me give you 2 examples. All right, right here I got Norfolk State. All right, so Norfolk State, as you can see, and I'm gonna pull the other thing back up. As you can see, Norfolk State. This will be Norfolk State's schedule. They're going to play Delaware State, Morgan State, Howard, and Hampton, which is in their division every year. So from the other quadrant, they have, North Carolina A&T, they have Bethune-Cookman, and then, I just gave FAMU in there as a rotating game. And then from the South, you see they have Grambling, and then they have Alabama State. Well, Alabama State from the South, and Grambling from the West. So they will actually play those two. They will actually have this schedule for 2 years, and then your 3 rotating opponents will rotate off, and then you'll get 3 new opponents. So, but we're in the FBS conference. So now look at that. You got Old Dominion, Liberty, and Virginia Tech. Now you tell me, Michael Vick right now, in his first season, if Norfolk State had this schedule, that's a beautiful schedule. You look at the non-conference slate. Old Dominion is in Virginia. And I did this. I know this probably wouldn't happen, but I gave them an American Conference team, Conference USA team, and then they have one ACC opponent. So you look at that. Look how regionalized the schedule is. But now they're in a 20-team conference, and it's a spread out conference. But again, it'll flip and rotate, for over 4 years. But again, look at that schedule. That's a beautiful schedule for an for an FBS opponent. Like, that schedule is more attractive than if Norfolk State was in the FBS or if Norfolk State was in the Sun Belt. Now, the Sun Belt has, great football names to it, but just think if you're a Norfolk State Spartan and you're talking about attractive games, look at that. And I guess a better example I should have used Tennessee State, but that's a beautiful schedule. Beautiful schedule. Now, I'm gonna give you another example because I know quite a few Jacksonians are tuning in. So I obviously I'm gonna have to do one for Jack State, right? So let me go ahead. Let me go take this off here, man. Let me add Jack State. All right. So you look at Jack State right here now. You got Alabama State. It looks very similar to what you're playing right now. The only difference for Jackson State is now you're adding South Carolina State, Howard, and Tennessee State as a conference game. Now, I'm going to get into some other specifics about why this thing is so beautiful. So look at Jack State's schedule now. You're talking about a football schedule where Jack State can have possibly 6 or 7 home games. But now you're talking about Jack State playing Alabama State, Texas Southern, Tennessee State, Southern, Alabama A&M, South Carolina State, Howard, Grambling, Alcorn, as well as non-conference games, USM, Ole Miss, and Tulane. That's a beautiful schedule. If you're a Jack State fan, knowing that your non-conference games, look at this. You're going to Hattiesburg, which, an hour from Jackson. You got Tulane, which is in New Orleans, and you're playing Ole Miss. Now, granted, I know it won't be like this every year, but just the idea of that schedule, that's a beautiful schedule. So now, because, for example, like the example I gave the Southern about that home slate, in this conference, for every team in this conference, every season, you'll have a good home slate. That's the beautiful thing about this conference. There won't be we got a good set of home games this year, but not good home games the next season. You'll have attractive games, multiple of those in this conference. Also within this conference, if you really, really look at it, man, you're talking about all the pageantry, all the major classic games are within this conference. So the epitome in every thought or facet of what you think HBCU ball to be, it's in this conference. It's if you really look at it, it's a beautiful thing. So that's why I give the example. I said, well, look, if I can give you everything that you're getting right now, but just make it better, why wouldn't you take it? So if you're Delaware State or if you're Howard, basically you're still it's almost like you're still in the MEAC because you're still playing all those teams. You're not giving up any rivalries. You're playing all those teams. You're just adding some more HBCU heavyweight attractive games to that. Like if you're Tennessee State in this game, instead of playing 3 or 4, HBCUs and, Tennessee State doesn't really want to play, Pine Bluff. But if you're Tennessee State, make sure y'all can hear me. If you're Tennessee State and you could play FAM, Southern, Grambling, Jackson State, North Carolina A&T, Howard, all in the same year, look what it does to your fan base. So, again, it's not about 4 or 5 attractive games. You're talking about literally, look at Jack State's schedule on the screen right there. Look at the games you're playing. Alabama State, Tennessee State, Southern, A&M, South Carolina State. I can replace Howard, easily with A&T. Grambling, Alcorn, non-conference slate. Here's the beautiful thing. Now, I'm going to jump into the comments later because I see, like, Rod, for example, he said it's not realistic without a lucrative media deal. Here's the thing. You can create your media deal. You can create your own content because, again, if the main thing is it becomes an attractive thing for a lucrative television deal. And I've been a proponent of saying, why not go out here and try to get the main thing about doing this is the moment that you create this conference, it becomes an attractive buy. And so why not pitch that conference to like Netflix or Prime or any other entity that want to shop it? Because now look at the markets that you're getting. You're literally saying, I got Black America on football because I got Black America literally turned in every weekend. And so you say you need a lucrative deal. Well, the MAC doesn't have a lucrative deal. The Sun Belt doesn't have a lucrative deal, but they're getting paid. So the way it is, if I'm in the SWAC or if I'm in the MEAC right now, why not try to do something that can generate revenue to where we can actually package? Because even in this deal, what if I told you that you can create a deal? Now, it might not be no stupid money like the SEC, but what if you can actually have a conference where each member institution gets $2.5 million each season? Now, yes, if it's less teams, then the money pool will be more for each school, but I can guarantee you each school, in whether it's in the MEAC or the SWAC, they're not getting that right now. The thing is, you're going to take the stairs, but you control your fate. You're saying, I'm going to invest in me. I'm going to bet on me. Because right now, what are we getting right now? So before you say it's not realistic, you know what is realistic? No money. Doing nothing. Doing nothing is realistic to get nothing. So we need to think and strategize to do something different. And I really, 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 truly think this will be a beautiful thing for HBCU and on the HBCU landscape. I just want to get some ADs and presidents on the phone to say, you know what? I know we kind of talked about it, but man, let's really see what is feasible to get this up and running. Because again, nothing from nothing leaves nothing, and that's what we're getting. So why not even take a shot in the dark and saying, let's look at, you know what I'm saying, trying to do something where we can make some money? Because I promise you, and I'm serious, if they can make that conference and they got it to where each school can get $2 million, man, they need to be on the first thing smoking emergent. I mean that. In this new college football landscape and with this new president that we have, we can't stand pat and do nothing. And again, it's an attractive product for anybody who has any semblance or any type of tie-in to any HBCU. Because I don't know about you, but if I'm a FAMU fan, and I know, man, I get to play Howard, South Carolina State, Jackson State, Southern, Grambling, Tennessee State every year, why wouldn't I want that? Why wouldn't I want that? As well as have the prospect, if I'm FAMU, to go now play FIU with Willie Simmons as the head coach. But guess what? It's not a money game in the sense of what it was, where we're the underling and we're not going to get our head beat in. What if you can go play FIU now? You're on a level playing field, you know, when it comes to recruits. Because I can assure you, if FAMU's an FBS school and FIU is where they are, I mean, FAMU becomes that much more attractive as an FBS school in a conference with other FBS entities. I mean, Tennessee State becomes an even more attractive school if it's an FBS conference. So, and no, Valley doesn't get invited. Valley gonna have to drop down D2. So, but I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing if it happens. So we just gotta get out the mindset of, you know, of sitting here thinking like, oh no, it can't happen, it won't happen. Just come up with, instead of telling me that it won't happen, literally sit down and come up with ways of what you would do to think that, even if it's not this, to think of something that could possibly happen or what you would like to see happen. You know, and this is not saying anything bad about it. It's just, look, man, I love HBCU sports, man. I want to see us thrive in the best way possible. And I really think the time is of the essence with us moving up to become an FBS conference. I love the idea of it. It changes the landscape going up from FCS to FBS. It just has a real different feel to it. Like I said, when you think of HBCU ball on the FBS level, man, it gives it a little gravitas. You know, it heightens it. It makes it better. And I think the moment that conference is created, I truly think it automatically in prestige, it surpasses the MAC conference. I really believe that from a brand standpoint. You said, where's FAMU? I'm gonna bring these comments over in a second, but let me clear this out. FAMU, that you guys can see. FAMU is in the East Pod. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's a real tangible thing that can happen. And so I actually put them down. So let me show you, man. I actually put down here where every you can have permanent opponents. So I just kind of gave an example. It's not on the screen, but I'll show you. So basically, in the layout I chose, I got Delaware. Delaware State will be playing North Carolina Central and Bethune-Cookman. That's their permanent opponents. Morgan State will have South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. Howard would have North Carolina A&T and South Carolina State. Norfolk State would have Bethune-Cookman and FAMU, and Hampton would have FAMU and North Carolina A&T. Those would be the permanent matchups. So every year, I mean, it works. It works. And I go, and I actually go even further detail when it comes to that. But I mean, just think about it. Every major classic is in this conference. The Aggie Eagle Classic is in here. Bayou Classic, Madison City Classic, Southern Heritage Classic, State Fair Classic. Every major classic is in this conference. So again, when you think of HBCU ball, there is no splitting of the two. It's one thing. It's one diaspora in and of itself. The SMAC Conference, SWAC MEAC Alliance Conference. So just wanted to put it up, man, and show you guys that. Let me actually let me close this off, man. Let me go back here and read these comments, man. If y'all got any questions, hit me up, man. Got like 10 more minutes. I'm gonna stay on here before we get off. Let me see here. What's up, Charles? What's up, Rube? Let's see here. What's up, Unc? Steve-O. We should consider leaving the SWAC to join the Sun Battles in FBS school. Our new rival would be local. I can tell you right now, you're not getting the invite from the Sun Belt. They don't want any HBCU school in their conference. It's not happening. Russell Haynes, what's going on? Appreciate you. Let's see what we got here. Nah, I can tell you right now, as much as I love JSU, the Sun Belt not inviting JSU. Jesse, what's going on? Could this new conference be strong enough to make college football playoff in due time? In due time. I mean, you meet the regulations for being the FBS conference. So the only thing that would have to happen would be, having success. But honestly, in my heart of hearts, I honestly believe that if there was a HBCU FBS conference, I honestly believe there would be language put in to alienate them out of it. I mean, if we really gonna be real, they don't really want the group of 5 conferences to have a say or play into it anyway. I mean, think about it. They can only really get one at-large team in the playoffs as constructed as is. So, they pretty much wanted to exclude themselves anyway. But if you have a long shot to do it, I mean, it's something to strive for. But as it stands right now in this new conference, you sit there, you play for a conference championship game and go to a bowl game. It's what we do now. It's what we do now. And there are no yearly FBS costs. The only cost is the fund scholarships, and we can do that. What will the new conference championship be? I mean, it could be in Atlanta. It could be wherever we deem for it to be successful. I mean, and Atlanta is the melting pot for all black folks. So I would keep it in Atlanta. How the Celebration Bowl fit into the Super Conference? I mean, well, Yeah, so sorry about that, you guys. EA. No, man. It's hey, if you look at it, it's breaking down from the north to the south. I mean, it is what it is. And you saying killer right now, that's present day. But as you know, teams get good, teams get bad. And it changes. You know what I'm saying? It changes. Hey CJ, what up, CJ? And eventually I will actually get I'll get I'll get Paul Bear Bryant into the game. I mean to the show. And I will get Eddie Bryant on here. Let's see here. Let's see. My bad, y'all. I hit the mute. Red roll shots. It's not a mandatory $6 million fee for all FBS schools to fund scholarships. That's untrue. It's a $5 million fee to move up from FCS to FBS. There's not a fee for scholarships. Jack State, and I can't speak for every, but honestly, if they're D1, they can fund extra scholarships. Right now, the only difference, I'll just explain it to you on the scholarship limitations. Right now is at 85 for FBS schools. We're at 63. But the difference is we can spread from 63 to 85, right? So that means you can do partial scholarships, but you spread out 63 over 85. The only difference is now you'll be going from, instead of the 85 number, to 105. That's the only difference. And you can actually fund those scholarships. That can be done. It's not no multi-million dollars to go from that number to 105. Let's see what we got here. Yes, the cost is for moving up from FCS to FBS. It's not a $6 million tag every year to be in FBS. I don't know where you get that from. It's a one-time payment of $5 million to move to FBS. That's it. Will the conference opt the house settlement in or out? I'm unsure, but right now I probably opt in. I would definitely opt in. Any extra revenue this conference could get, they'll grab at it and take it. But going to this whole new conference as well, when it comes to our territorial rights and then our secondary rights on TV, I mean, we stand to actually gain a lot more than what we are right now, because the merging of this conference actually creates a whole new blueprint. It creates a whole new entity, right? And so now when you talk about conference play, you talk about matchups. Just look at what the Celebration Bowl did. Now you can have those games week in and week out. When we look at the SWAC MEAC Challenge at the beginning of the year, Labor Day weekend, look at what those numbers do. And I'm telling you, the SWAC alone is doing, from an eyeball standpoint, similar numbers to the Sun Belt, in some cases better. And so, again, when you make an attractive game and an attractive product, you can raise the eyebrows on that. And again, I hate when we have these kind of conversations. People automatically go to the top of the pecking order with the SEC. We don't have to be the SEC. We don't have to be the Big Ten. We're not trying to be. But can we be the MAC or can we be the Sun Belt? You bet your ass we can. And we can strive to be better. But the Sun Belt is a damn good football conference. But all the other ancillary parts, we beat them in that. So again, if we can get a good product on the football field, I mean, when it comes to the pump and circumstance and the pageantry, we surpassed them in that. Get the football to match that, man. There's no telling, because we can actually surpass the Sun Belt when it comes to that. When you talk about having the resources, getting them resources coming into these schools, you make it more attractive. So, it is what it is. But look, you guys, we're finna get ready to roll up out of here. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. We're gonna catch y'all next week, and y'all have a good weekend, man. Thanks for tuning in, man. Zone Coverage Podcast with your boy Zoe Phillips. I'll see y'all soon.